Hey guys, welcome back. This is ChosenArchitect. Today, as you can see behind me, we are going to go bonsai crazy and progress a little bit more through nuclear craft. So, I hope you guys are ready. So I think today there's a few things that I want to try and get set up and automated. That is going to be our simulation chamber, which I have working on now, getting ourselves pristine creeper matter, as this can be turned into gunpowder, which is a good chunk of money. And I think we can utilize this process. For one thing, overworlding matter is used for a lot of things as well, and is well worth getting in the long run. And I think getting these things set up and kind of, moving away from our traditional mob farm, as this is still working. We'll keep this running for a good while. Eventually we might upgrade this to a much better one. But this is still producing things like infinity boosters and things that we will need later on. So I think it's gonna be well worth our time. Also, I don't know how this pack is going to change once we start getting into certain parts, because I do notice there are EMC values for certain things, but yet they're not unlocked yet in our EMC table. So let's go ahead and finish pulling these out. And I remember, if we take a look here, we need Neptunium, which comes from this right here, NEPT. So I'm gonna need to remember that, because this tiny clumps, we need to take one of these and break them down. It is a 100% chance of getting it, just like that. And of course, we throw that in here, pull out a stack, and now we've completed this subsection. Now, this is going to, I think, push us into other things. I think plutonium we actually have as well. So we're probably going to need to break down the plutonium. I don't know which version it wants, though. So let's just take a look. It probably doesn't matter. There's 38 and 39. So it looks like it comes from either or. Just need some plutonium. Right, so plutonium. Throw that just like there. And then we break this down. And that's going to get us plutonium. Another thing that we're going to need. Perfect. And this opens up some other stuff. So we have an energy condenser MK2. Dark matter. And then we have americium? Americium? I think that's right. I don't know. We'll figure that out. What does this come from? Okay, so this is going to come from another fuel that we're going to have to push towards, and I guess eventually get. And it might be a byproduct of something. So fuel reprocessor comes from depleted HEP fuel, HEP 41, and we kind of need to figure out how to get that HEP fuel to use. And we're also going to probably have to change a few things around in order to be able to achieve that. So you can see right here, the fusion reactor, it comes from this fuel, which comes from the plutonium and plutonium oxide. So that makes total sense. So we need plutonium 239, which is, we're getting that as a byproduct. And then we're going to need plutonium 442, which is another byproduct as well. So really, we might, I was thinking maybe there's a faster way to go through this stuff, and we can make this a little bit bigger. Like, we can actually expand this off the back a little bit, which wouldn't use too many more resources, but it would use more cells, whereas right now this takes 15 minutes to process. We could probably cut that down even further and maybe go down to like 7 minutes for each thing to process, because these fuels do take a little bit of time to process. In return, it would also produce a bit more fuel, or a bit more RF per tick as well. So at this point, I believe we're going to be pushing ourselves into ProjectE. And so we are going to need to make dark matter, and a lot of these things do have EMC values associated with them. So pretty much everything with ProjectE now is going to have EMC values contributed to them. We just need to make the base item first, learn it, and then move on from there. You can see, like, even the fuels here, once we get this done and learned, it's going to be pretty easy from there. We just need to make sure that we have enough to start this off. So, with that being said, to get started with just the fuel here, we needed that plutonium. So, now that we have the access to plutonium, we can actually start moving forward with this. So let's go ahead and make our first bit here, which is going to be the coal. And it's just as simple as learning the item, just like that, you see. And now we have the ability to make this. Let's go ahead and figure out what the next step is, which is Mobius fuel is going to be blaze powder. And we do have blaze rods, of course. So we'll just break that down. There we go, Mobius fuel, and we learn it. It's going to be the same process all the way up the tier tree, and this is going to require blaze, and then this is going to require ender pearls, and then I believe the dark matter just requires a diamond block. So we are going to have to farm some diamond, which is not too hard to do. We should be able to actually get diamonds done right now if we unlock this recipe and pause this. We can lock this recipe. Actually, we might have to just say diamonds. And there we go. Now it's locked. There we go. We can resume. And just kind of let that fill up. That'll start producing some diamonds for us. I do have this whole thing filled up here. But yeah, we're going to have to move on. We're going to get pretty much most of these things produced. And we're moving into Project E. So there's our first piece of dark matter. And of course, that gets to go in here as well. And we'll grab ourselves that. And that is going to move us up the ladder here. It's going to want us to make red matter. Now, in Energy Condenser MK2, I don't know exactly. Yeah, this is going to be part of dark matter and red matter all together. And this EMC, the EMC values on these are going to get kind of expensive very quickly. And we just don't have the ability to make that much EMC. Of course, we're writing right now on slime, or not slime, on squid ink, which gets us by. I mean, gets us by. That was a very good fuel source early on. But if we take a look here at our flour, all we need is 1.94 million EMC to be able to make our first basic bonsai pot, MK1. And this is going to require a few different steps in order to make this. We need basic relays, which are going to be these antimatter blocks, which are just obsidian. And it's going to require some diamond and some glass. So that is going to require EMC in itself. And you can see this thing actually has an EMC value. So once we make one, we can pretty much make all of them. And then the basic collectors here are also going to be the basically the opposite, the energy collectors. And these are going to be glowstone diamond blocks. So we do need a lot of diamond, it looks like, to be processed. We do have a bit of glowstone. I'm not too worried about glowstone or anything like that, as that's pretty simple to make. But we will need those. And then we need a basic energy EMC link, which requires one bit of red matter and the different covalence dusts, which are not hard at all to get. And you do get a large quantity of those. So this is going to be something that I want to get today. We are going to get this. Also, I'm thinking about making the stone transmutation tablet, as it is very worth it as well. The stone transmutation tablet, we could have made it a long time ago. I'm going to see which one I like better, because I like both of them. Just this one lets me search through mods. Now that we're going to have multiple mods in here, it's going to be a little bit easier to search through. So I'll see what I can do. But I'm definitely going to get all these things ready, and we're going to hopefully make ourselves a basic power flower. So I should have all the diamonds I need in order to make this bonsai. I'm super stoked to get this ready to go. Perfect. There's our diamond blocks. So let's go ahead and make this. I don't know if I have enough glowstone, but glowstone is just phosphorus, which is the same stuff you use to make lava. And it's pretty simple to get. Just throw it in there, and you get yourself quite a bit of glowstone right away. So there we go. Perfect. So let's go ahead and make the first one. This is going to be our energy collector MK1, and then we're also going to have our energy collector, or antimatter relay, sorry. And that's all going to go into the EMC table. So nice. And we should have enough EMC built up now. By the way, I started our lava gen, but that's going to change here soon, because we won't actually need lava gen anymore, because we'll be able to make infinite lava here shortly, really. As soon as we get an EMC production started, everything that is set up through Project E, all the machines and stuff, we'll have access to, for the most part. Minus one thing, which is going to be the philosopher's stone, which we don't have access to because it's disabled. So, with all that being said, let's go ahead and pull these out. I think we need, so for this right here, this just needs to be converted over. We need 6 of the antimatters, so 6 of those. Right? And we're still left with quite a bit. And these, we're going to need, I think, 9 of them each. So we need 18 total. This is where it's really going to consume our EMC, right here. So we need 18 of those. These get converted, and then this gets converted. We'll take a look at the bonsai. This is where I said you're going to need 9 of them, because they have to be combined. And what this is basically taking the place of what used to be a basic power flower, where you would literally have the shape that you can kind of see here in that image. You would have all that done. Basically, you would have a MK2 energy condenser in the center, and that would be controlling everything. So one last thing to make, and that is this, which we're going to need 1 red matter for. And we pretty much have ourselves a basic bonsai pot. Now I do want to take this, this, and this actually, and I want to save these. Or at least learn them in our recipe book, so that way we always have them available. And there we go, a basic power flower. And we want to learn that as well, and we're going to take this and just place it really anywhere. And you're going to notice up in the top left-hand corner, you're going to start seeing EMC that's just going to be passively generated. And it's going to just constantly be generating over time. And that's what this thing does. You'll just keep getting power, just all the time. And I don't think it has to be in the sunlight or anything like that. It does tell you that's how much it's actually generating. And normally you'd have to have these directly in the sunlight. As you can tell, it doesn't have to be. We have it directly under a block. I don't think this is considered a transparent block either. So yeah, with all that being said, I mean, we're really moving quickly in this pack. So getting these different things here are just going to take some time. This is also just going to take some time, as we need this fuel to be depleted. So I'm going to take some more of this depleted fuel. I'm going to break it down, and we're going to see what we can do, because now that we have passive generation of EMC, getting uranium is going to be a lot quicker on us. And as you can see, this is how we get the plutonium that we're going to need to make that different fuel. So I'm thinking we should take this and make our fuels process a bit faster. And to do that, I'm actually going to break this back here open, and we're going to set the pattern and just kind of extend that pattern. We're going to continue doing that. This is just basically adding more cells, and this should support this no problem. Really, we just got to replace these, make sure to place the bottom casing as well, and we're going to need to make sure we replace the top casing. This does not have to be symmetrical. That's a good part about these reactors, is it is literally just based on how you want to set this whole thing up. And now when we turn this on, we kind of want to make sure that everything's right, because it should function. You see right here, negative 420. You know that's a good number when you got a negative 420. And our processing time looks like it went a lot lower. And we're generating 720 RF now, a tick, versus what we were generating earlier. Now we have 6 cells. So remember, the more cells you have, the faster it's going to go. Also, the more power you're going to generate, but the less time you're going to get out of your fuel. But if you're wanting to burn through your fuel fast, this is a good way to do it, is to kind of make this pattern right here, and that's the good way to burn through your first set of fuels. And that way you're not sitting here forever just waiting on. So once you start progressing a little bit and you get a few more of your basic bonsai pots, you might want to take them, once you get about 4 of them and it starts producing more than the base tier of the next version, and you want to go ahead and invest that EMC back into your system. And we're going to need to upgrade these. And the easiest way to do this is to just grab, let's see, does it not have the basic one? I guess I never broke this down, did I? I don't know if that actually can be broken down. Anyways, at least this can be broken down. So I don't think I ever saved one of these. There we go. And so yeah, all you gotta do is add some dark matter to this. And this will start a progression of upgrading our blocks here. So we'll add this to the system and this. And hopefully we should be able to make one of these base, or one of these tier 2 versions. We'll need 6 of those again. And we're going to need, ooh, we almost have enough. I don't think that's pushing it right there, because we don't have enough to make the next tier. I was hoping maybe we had enough EMC for that. That's all we need. You know, we might actually have enough EMC. We might. Because all we need is, let's see. Yeah, we just need 296,000. Well, we'd be pushing it. We were pretty close. Yep, we're not actually going to get there right yet. But we can go ahead and throw these back in for right now. And we can take out all of these. And of course, just let them generate that just minuscule amount of EMC that's going to need to be produced before we can get there. I think this is literally going to take me just a couple of minutes. You can see the current amount of EMC we have. I'm just going to let it build up for a little bit longer. So there's everything we need. And this will, of course, get us our tier 2. I do want to make sure to save all of these different things as we go to make this, of course. And voila. And of course, save this. And now this thing is only going to produce 306. So we had 4 out before. So this is not quite ready for us to be using it, when I can generate way more with just 4 of these for right now. But keep in mind that whenever we're able to upgrade, we are going to need to push into that next tier, because it's I think cheaper for us to use, I believe once it goes past that point, I think it's cheaper for us to use 2 of those to generate 600 than it is for us to have many more of these to generate 600. I think there are 1 apiece, so we need 6 of these to generate 600, whereas 2 of them would only generate 600 here. I'll have to figure out the EMC values. I don't know if it's actually cheaper to run these. There's got to be a point where the tables turn. It's kind of like a curved graph. It gets exponentially better the higher tiers you go. So it is going to take a little bit of time. Now, when it comes to the nuclear craft stuff, I'm kind of at a standstill right now because I am waiting for EMC, and uranium's not cheap, right? So to get uranium at the rate that we need it, it is pretty expensive. So if I'm breaking it down into the uranium bars, we're getting the uranium, but when I have to put it in the isotope separator, that's when it gets a little bit more expensive, because it doesn't exactly give you a good amount of this stuff every time, and we need the tiny clumps of uranium. That's the big thing. Now, I did notice there is a decay enhancer through nuclear craft. So if you don't want to go the route that I did by throwing it inside your machine to generate power to decay it, you can decay it in a machine. So I think it's right here, the decay hastener. So you can use this method, and I don't know how effective this is because I don't think I've ever made this, which sounds kind of surprising, but I haven't actually. We should have enough for all these plates. And we should have some copper. I think iron's the only thing. And we need a plutonium ingot. So plutonium should be 16 of these to make 1 plutonium ingot. So it's good that we have that now, because we couldn't make that before. So I guess you'd still have to make the reactor before you can get to this. And yeah, we would still be waiting for that, basically. So you kind of be left trying to make these things. So there's a decay hastener, and I'm just gonna I'm thinking, I don't know how fast this will actually decay things, but I am curious to see how fast this actually works and what it does. I'm assuming it does the exact same thing that this does, except it does it a lot quicker. So what we need is we need a good amount of uranium to be converted into the isotopes here. And then we're going to be converting this into our basic fuel, right? Just like this. And that'll give us our basic fuel, and then we can throw it over here. Maybe this won't. Decay hastener. I would think that would decay. It should show. Okay, so it needs this to decay. Oh, okay. So can we break down certain things? What would it take to maybe break down things into plutonium? Ah, this is later on down the road. I don't think we can make the tiny piles of plutonium yet without these other materials. And this is kind of what we're after. Right? Oh, definitely. So yeah, we can't even use the decay hastener yet. So this americium, I did look this up. It is weird to say that, but americium, this stuff right here, is actually going to be a bit more complicated than what I originally anticipated. So we do have different things it can come from. It can come from the 241. It can also come from the 242, and it can also come from the 243. Now, there are different ways of getting these different materials. I noticed the first way that I had looked, which is the 241, might be a little bit more difficult than I thought. So where does the 243 come from? Well, we can take a look and kind of see where this 243 come from. Looks like we get, this breaks down. How do we get it though? Let's see, the fuel reprocessor comes from a couple of different types of depleted fuel. Okay. And we have to look at these depleted fuels to kind of understand where this is even coming from. To do that, we look at the fusion reactor. So we have LU 233 fuel. To make this is uranium. Okay, so uranium. This right here is going to be a little bit more complicated to get. The uranium 233. This actually might be the process from which we have to go through this. This might actually be the best way. So how do we get these tiny clumps? Well, it looks like we need depleted TBU fuel, which gives us these. And how do we get our hands on TBU fuel? Oh, it's thorium. That totally makes sense. So we do have to go the thorium route. I was wondering if we were going to do that. Luckily, our machine over here should support thorium. So let's go ahead and take a look at that, because that's actually doable, right? This version is completely doable. And we need to make sure that we know our route around this, right? So tiny clumps here. And that needs to go, it needs to be a part of this fuel, which is broken down in the reactor, right? So we need to mark this fuel. This is a fuel that we're going to be using to get there. And then to get these tiny clumps in the fuel reprocessor, we need depleted TBU fuel, which is just thorium. And we can get this stuff pretty simple. At least I think it's simple. Thorium is going to come from the isotope separator, and we just need thorium dust, or thorium ingots. And thorium ingots is something that we can just grab hold of and just make ingots of. Nice. And this is going to be broken down the same way we've been doing uranium. It goes inside here. Let's get my speed upgrades to make this a little bit faster. We totally have the power to support it because I'm breaking down some other things as well. And there we go. So we're just going to need tons of thorium for this to work. We should be able to take the thorium 232, wow, and make ourselves a fuel out of it. That's kind of what what we're getting. This fuel right here is making basic fuel, really basic fuel actually. This stuff right here produces 60 RF per tick, only needs a low amount of heat, because it generates a very low amount of heat, but it takes a lot longer to process. And we should be able to easily support this over here in this guy. This thing should still be able to support this fuel, as its heat requirement is nowhere near the heat that we are currently producing in our current fuel. So yeah, you can totally tell 18, it's just, yeah, it's going to disperse, and this thing should go pretty fast. It still has double the amount of time, so it's probably going to take 15 minutes per fuel. But it's definitely better than any other system that we could work out. We could make this thing, like I said, bigger and badder so that it burns through the fuel a lot faster, since we're trying to burn through the fuel, not generate a large amount of power. But like I said, that's going to take a bit more resources. I'm going to try and generate a bit more. I think I'm going to make this thing one more longer, and that should obviously help as well. So technically, I only needed to get one of the TBU fuels done. And yeah, all we got to do is head over here, get this thing reprocessed, and get a new fuel in. That new fuel should also be supported by our machine. We'll test that out just to make sure. But this should give us a pretty high output of different things, including this uranium. So 235, right? That's not what we need. We need this stuff, 238. So we need to combine this, a solid one, just like this, 33. Needs to be combined with this to get ourselves the 33 fuel, right? And so really only one of these need to be processed. Well, let's take a look at its heat and properties, because this could cause issues if we're not careful. It looks like the base time is 53 minutes. Its heat gen is 60 heat units. We're going to be able to find out if we multiply that by 10, we now have 10 cells, right? So if we take our 10 cells, and we currently have -12, so we need to make sure that this does not go higher than 12,000. So it'll be 10 times 60, right? So that's actually a really easy number to multiply by, because that's only going to leave us with 600. I mean, we have double the amount of heat resistance required for this. So we throw that in here. You see how it just cut in half, and it's currently running. And this is only going to take 5 minutes to process this fuel, whereas this one has a higher timer, so it takes a little bit longer. So I hope this isn't too complicated. This is about as complicated as going through all the chemical stuff from this mod. So I'm definitely learning with you guys as well. Don't assume that I've done this mod before, because I've only touched a very minuscule amount of nuclear craft. So I don't know very much about it, but I'm learning along with you guys. So just keep that in mind. I'm having to go through JEI. I am kind of going through everything, reflecting on everything, and trying to teach you guys it at the same time. So there's only a couple seconds left, and we now have our depleted LEU fuel. And exactly what we're going to do with this is we're going to reprocess this. So we throw this back in our reprocessor, and we should get exactly what we need to complete today's video. I clump this up. This right here is going to get me the material. I just need to get in here for a second. There we go. We now have ourselves the americium that we needed before. And we just got to put this in here. And we've completed americium. And I believe we're going to have to continue to go further and further into this rabbit hole to complete more and more. But luckily, we have all of these guys we got today. So the more I get, I'm just investing them currently into the tier 1s. I did the calculations, and it's actually better to invest currently into the tier 1s than it is to invest into the higher tiers as of right now. Each one of these are about 2 million EMC apiece, right? To create. And if we look at the bonsais, it starts to get a bit more expensive. So this right here is 2. If we go up just a little bit, it's 8. This is 30. To produce 1,000, we can kind of do the math here, it's a little easier. To produce 1,000 basically EMC every second, which is 20 ticks, it costs us 30 million. So if you calculate how many we have here, which is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 25, we have about 25 of them, right? So it's going to be, right now we're pushing about 50 million EMC worth of bonsai pots. And if we were to calculate that and try to put this into an upgraded version, you can really tell how this is going to hurt us, because currently we are producing about 2,500 EMC per second with what we have. And what this is going to offer, the only one we can afford, is this version, which is the red matter version, which is going to be 30 million worth of cost, right? And we have 50 million worth of them right now. And this is going to knock us back down to 1 per second. So we cannot afford 2 of these currently, but we will be able to in the future. And we'll definitely be upgrading as we go. And I kind of want to see, what is this even used for? Like, is this used for anything? No, it's just used to have the chemical compound, or not the chemical element, to have the element. I don't know why I always talk like that. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you learned a lot. If you guys did, don't forget to give this video a huge thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you in the next episode. And as always, thanks for watching.